Hey everybody, 8-Bit Josh here, and welcome back to another Planet Zoo Builds episode. And I'm extra excited about this one. This one is extra fun for at least for me anyway, because as the name suggests, if you're familiar with The Legend of Zelda, specifically Breath of the Wild, the Kara Bazaar is a location that you can visit in the Gerudo Desert. The reason this came about, it actually was pretty it was pretty organic the way it came about. One is I'm like a huge Legend of Zelda fan, and I've been going through like a major Legend of Zelda withdrawal. I was like, man, on Twitter I posted, I was like, I really need a new game. Since there isn't one, I was thinking of playing through the master mode of Breath of the Wild, which I thought would be a lot of fun. So also, if you watch my Wildlife World episode, you know we've been talking about adding a camel habitat, because that's something that's been missing, and it only seemed, it seemed sort of natural to do one of these videos and make a camel habitat that we can also eventually put into Wildlife World. The other thing that came about is, I don't know if you're familiar with the fantastic Paulsley on YouTube. He's another Planet Zoo creator. Well, he was asking for, he's doing like a charity stream, and he was asking people to, if they wanted to make some habitats for him for his stream. And I was like, yeah, I'll do something for you. And I was like, you know what? Because I need to make another Planet Zoo Builds episode. I can make something I can give to Paulsley, and then I can make it a camel habitat, because then it's also something that we can put into Wildlife World. And so it all just sort of came together really well. And then, I was like, all right, well, doing the Kara Bazaar would be a fun little inspirational kind of Easter egg thing for this build. So that's kind of long roundabout way of how I got to the idea or the inspiration to sort of make a Kara Bazaar inspired habitat. And that's what this is. If you've played the game, or if you even just go and look up some pictures, you'll see it's got this big gigantic rock that's held up by like a really thin column, and it's got these like tapestries around it. And so that's what we're doing here. And because camels, they're desert animals for the most part, they like lots of sand, so that also fit in with the Kara Bazaar. Also, the Kara Bazaar has a really big water feature in front of it. And, I didn't want to make anything too gigantic. I wanted it to be a fairly, a reasonably sized habitat. I don't know if I want to say realistic necessarily, but something that you could maybe see in a real zoo. This is definitely not to scale to what the Kara Bazaar in Breath of the Wild would be. So you might be able to see this in, like a zoo in real life, possibly. But I did want to give the camels lots of water. I wanted to also make sure that the camels could traverse through the water. So that's not like they're not like really deep water features. They're deep, but they're shallow enough that the camels can walk through it. The other thing is I wanted the entire inside of the habitat to be traversable. So the entire front of their shelter there, which is what this rock is, all of that is traversable. So they have plenty of space. They have plenty of enrichment items, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun. If you do download this from the workshop, I do add a little sign in there as well that just says, when you're placing the habitat, place the sign right level with the terrain. And that should make everything sort of line up the way it's supposed to. The game is a little quirky sometimes if you place it. I was testing this out quite a bit myself. Sometimes if you place it not exactly the way that I built it, the game won't always put the water and the water features there that I added. I noticed like sometimes one of them won't have water at all when you place it, which, I mean, it's easy enough to just, go into the terrain settings and add some water, but, the idea is I want you to not have to do too much configuration when you place it, right? Like, you just want to be able to place it and go. And so that's what I tried to do. The other thing I did is I used the glass barriers because when I make these habitats, I like to make them as flexible for you guys and anybody who downloads them as possible. So, you could switch them to the null barrier and you can make your own custom barriers, or if you wanted to, maybe you had a natural barrier like water or like a trench or something that you wanted to put around it, you could do that as well with the null barrier. The glass also is like, if you want to put any of your own scenery or decorations around it. I just feel like it's so much more flexible with the glass and the null barriers than if I made the entire thing out of like the concrete or the brick or whatever. So, but obviously it's also easy enough to switch the barrier to whatever type you want. So, yeah, I think that pretty much does it for this time lapse. We're kind of just wrapping it up here, but yeah, let me know down in the comments what other animals you would like to see these for. These are meant to just be like little one-off videos for habitats that I put up on my Steam Workshop. So with that, leave your comments, suggestions, and feedback down below. I am 8-Bit Josh, and thanks for watching. See ya.